Ooh, that looks tasty.
Oh my gosh, field leader, this is it. We found the mother lode. Never before have so many fossils been found in one place. Just think of all the good we can do, all the things we can learn and discover. I've got a better idea. Let's make this a good old-fashioned competition. Let's see who can find the most fossils first. Ha!
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Jurassic Parts, designed by Kevin Lansing, with art by Andrew Bosley, and published by 25th Century Games. And I do apologize if I mispronounce any of those names. Now, before I get started, make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any rules errors, that's where you'll find the corrections. And with that, let's jump in. So what this game is it is an area control set collection game in which you and the other players are competing paleontologists on an archaeological dig, and you are slowly revealing different sets of dinosaur bones and other fossils, and you are doing your best to be the one to break the fossils off of this big old slab of fossilized everything and get the most impressive collection at the end of the game. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is going to work. What's going to happen is on your turn, you're going to first take some of your dull chisels, i.e. ones that are useless, and sharpen them up. Then from there, you will play all of your chisels out onto the slab. And to play a chisel, all you do is you take it and you lay it out on the slab. And I apologize if you hear my cat in the background. She's unhappy about something. And it's not quite as simple as just putting a chisel out, because as you can see, there are rocks sometimes in between these areas, and then you have to use a chisel to bust through the rocks first. And so for every rock on either side of the seam, you have to spend a chisel. So if I wanted to place a chisel right here, you'll notice there's rocks here. I would have to spend one chisel to bust through the rocks, and then my second chisel could go here into the middle. And then if it is an area like here with double rocks, it would actually cost you 3 chisels to bust that open right there. And what you're going to be doing is players are going back and forth, slowly laying out these chisels until they have managed to separate a portion of the stack from everything else. And so I'll just set this up like so. And if you're wondering why I have these so far apart, you'll see why in just a moment, though perhaps I have them a bit far for now. And so you'll see here, what I've done is I've broken apart this whole section of 3 different hex tiles right here. So when that happens, you separate out the smaller of the 2 halves. You'll see we have this huge half here, and then we have just 3. So these 3 would separate out. And then the player who contributed the most to the breaking off of this slab would get first pick. You'll see yellow here has 4, while green only has 3. So yellow would then get to take half rounded up of the tiles here, and you'll see this one here was face down. You flip it over, and now we see what's on the other side. And then yellow would get to take half of whatever remained. So in this case, it would be 2 and 1. But if for some reason there were, say, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles, the first player would get 4, while the second player would only get half of the remainder. And so if you're playing with more players, the halving makes you have diminishing returns on just how many tiles you get each time. And that's actually the core of the game. There are ways that you can sell different fossils you've collected to the field leader for the amber here, and you use this amber in order to get special bonuses throughout the game. It might let you pull something out of the slab. It might let you purchase a tile that the field leader already has to help complete your set, and so on and so on. And what's going to happen is at the end of the game, you're simply going to add up your sets. Now, this is only 2 of the different types of dinosaurs that you can get, but you can see how it works. So if you get a full Stegosaurus, it's worth 7 points. A full Spinosaurus, it's worth 10 points. You can get a T-Rex, a Velociraptor, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, and so on, so on, so on. All those pterodactyls, all those classic dinosaurs that you know, and you're also able to get just fossils of plants, and those are a big set collection where the more of them you have, the more points they are worth. And really, that's pretty much it. You play until all but one of the tiles has been collected, and then you total up your score. The only variable to that is you are able to play with these special cards here, which you get to play once per game. And there's a whole variety of different cards that these could possibly be. The game ends, you add up your score, high score wins. So, what do I like about this game? As I say so very often, and I pretty much always say with a 25th century game, I like the simplicity of the game. It is very simple. You put out your chisels, you break off tiles, and you collect the tiles. But what makes it interesting is it's an majority area controls type game because you're dealing with these chisels, and whoever does the most work on there is going to get the biggest benefit. And that is very interesting to me. And at the same time, it's also interesting that you can watch somebody doing a huge bit of work and carving off a huge path, and just at the very last minute toss in one chisel, and now you get to participate in it. And so there is a balance of that, of trying to play your opponents and then wisely manage your own chisels to get the biggest payoff without being so greedy that someone's going to try to jump in there at the end because suddenly throwing one chisel in becomes really, really worth it. And at the same time, the randomness of the setup and the way the rocks work, again, make it an interesting balance because you can't just lay your chisels out to chop something off. You have to figure out, well, I can lay one here, but if I do that, it's actually going to cost me all of my chisels, unless, of course, I spend some of my amber. And then if I can spend some of my amber, well, then I can ignore some of the rocks because, well, I don't know why, because reasons. I guess the field leader has a magic chisel you get to borrow. And it is an interesting set collection puzzle, but it's just not hard to understand how to play. The other thing that I particularly appreciate about the game is, well, you're collecting dinosaur bones, and how many of us thought about collecting dinosaur bones as a kid? It's a cool thing and it is fun to do that. But I really appreciate the cast of characters that this game has. As I have been really focusing on a lot more lately, I just appreciate a game where anybody who plays can feel like they could be part of the game. And I always appreciate that. And along with it, I like the art. I like the way all the characters look. I really like the look of these cards here. And that I just think it all works. So what are my quibbles with the game? Even though I just said that I like the way the game looks, it is pretty orange when you're playing. I mean, there is, I gotta clear all this junk away here, but I mean, I'll toss out some more tiles. Like that's a lot of orange out there. So if you don't like orange, well, maybe you won't appreciate that as much. And it can be, if you don't leave enough space in between your tiles, it can be a little hard to get the pieces out of there, which leads me to this next point where it's a little bit fiddly to set up because you have to flip half of the tiles and then shuffle them together and then place them all out, and you have to place all of the tiles out. And let me tell you, there are a whole bunch of tiles in this game, and I'm not throwing them all out because it's going to take me forever just to put all of them away. But as you can see, that's a lot of tiles, and it actually takes a little while to set up. And it can be, if you're not paying attention and you push them all together, it can be really hard and obnoxious to kind of pull things apart as you break the slab apart. The other thing that I'll say is, and I alluded to this at the beginning, is it can feel frustrating if you're doing all of the work and chopping off a huge section of slab, and then at the very end, someone just comes in and tosses in a single chisel, and then suddenly they're going to get a quarter of everything that you break off. And so in some ways, it makes the game feel less about trying to chop off the biggest chunk and more of a trying to chop off a medium-sized chunk, but making sure anytime anybody else is doing anything that you kind of toss your hat in the ring and just say, oh, no, I helped on this. I helped. I get some stuff. And that might not be the type of area control game that you are looking for. But really, that's really it with this game. It is super streamlined. It is super easy to play. It is a fascinating puzzle. And assuming that you are someone who likes dinosaurs, likes set collection, and does not mind that bit about someone can kind of jump in right at the end and take some of your stuff, if you don't mind that mechanic, then this is a game that's absolutely worth checking out. It's very affordable. It's certainly a great option for a family playing with younger children or people who don't play games. Or if you want to play this with some hardcore gamers, I would not be surprised if you could get some serious, intense strategy and competitive games going on. And at the end of the day, this game is going to play in under an hour. probably under 45 minutes if you can get the setup down quick. So, there you have it, folks. That is Jurassic Parts. I think this is a lovely family style area control set collection game. If you like dinosaurs and you always wanted to be a paleontologist, then hey, this is your jam. So there you have it, folks. If I made any errors in the brief rules description, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp. I'll get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.